Have you ever met someone and felt like they woke up a part of your soul you didn't even know existed? That every glance, every word, every moment seemed like it was meant to happen, even if you didn't understand why. What if I told you that no encounter is truly accidental, and every connection has a purpose? Today we're diving deep into the psychology of relationships, shadow work, and how the people in your life reflect your inner world. Stay with me. No one crosses our path by accident. What you feel, what you carry inside, the unresolved stories within you, all of it shapes and attracts the encounters that appear in your life. It's not coincidence. It's the law of resonance. Whether you realize it or not, even the most challenging connections carry messages the ego resists but the soul longs to hear. Carl Jung believed that the most important meetings are arranged by the soul long before the bodies ever meet. So what are your relationships trying to tell you about yourself? In this video, you'll discover why certain bonds form, why some patterns keep repeating, and how what seems like random encounters are actually a profound reflection of your own psyche. Stay with the video until the end, because once you understand how the law of resonance shapes your relationships, you'll stop calling coincidence what has always been the language of the unconscious. We've all felt it. You're living your ordinary life when suddenly someone new appears. A glance exchanged in a cafe, a conversation on the train, a message sent by mistake, and nothing is the same anymore. It looks like chance, but it isn't. These encounters that change the course of things follow no visible logic, no plan, no algorithm, no control. The feeling is different, as if something has already been set in motion, as if that presence was drawn closer without any conscious intention, as if an invisible thread connects two human experiences that, until then, lived in separate worlds. Jung said that some connections are formed long before life gives them a name. This isn't just poetry, it's depth psychology. Beneath the surface of events, something greater moves. A symbolic intelligence that leads us toward what we need to learn, to heal, or to transform. This kind of resonance is invisible or logical, but it is real. It reveals itself through recurring stories, through the people who show up and hold up a mirror, and through the connections that, even if brief, leave a lasting mark. When someone enters your life and stirs everything up, whether it brings clarity or chaos, they never arrive by accident. They carry the key to a process that has been locked away for years. Sometimes they awaken something inside you that has been sleeping. They might serve as a mirror, a trigger, a messenger, or even a bridge. But they are never neutral, never insignificant. It is your deeper self, the core of your psyche, that draws these encounters in. It knows what the ego cannot. It speaks through symbols, dreams, synchronicities, and often uses others as mirrors to reflect what you've been unable or unwilling to see. That's why some people shake your soul, while others pass by unnoticed. Some relationships flow effortlessly. Others are fiercely intense. The other person reflects you even when it doesn't seem that way. This subtle vibration can't be measured or seen, but it translates into patterns, symbols, and repetitions. The unconscious doesn't speak in straight lines, it speaks in metaphors. And the world around you becomes the stage where this hidden language plays out. Situations repeat. Familiar faces return. Certain names, features, or emotions resurface. Déjà vu moments appear. All of this can be your unconscious calling your attention to something you still need to face. Your inner field is never neutral. It sends out signals, quiet but powerful, and those signals draw in people whose frequencies resonate with your own, or who awaken what needs to rise to the surface. That's why we don't always attract what we want. More often, we attract exactly what we avoid. Not as punishment, but as resonance. This is why certain bonds feel inevitable. Even when you try to walk away, something keeps pulling you back. It may not make sense to the rational mind, but emotionally, it fits perfectly. These connections operate on a level beyond thought. And it's there, in that invisible space, that the most transformative experiences take place. Nothing in that realm is random. The relationships that leave a mark often carry a deeper meaning, even when they feel unsettling. Every encounter has its own precision, even the difficult ones. The outer world is not separate from you. It's the clearest mirror of your inner landscape. Some people arrive to support your growth. Others challenge it. But nearly all of them touch something hidden within you. A place you've carefully kept in the dark. No, it's not a coincidence. It's psychological complementarity. Carl Jung observed that the ego is, by its nature, limited. It builds identity on what we choose to be, on what we show the world, on what we've decided is acceptable. But everything we exclude out of fear, shame, or habit doesn't disappear. It sinks beneath the surface into the unconscious. And that's exactly what we tend to attract. The mind longs for the balance the ego refuses to acknowledge. So it pulls in what's missing. The rational is drawn to the intuitive, the controlled to the spontaneous. The pragmatic meets the dreamer. These aren't accidents. It's the unconscious whispering. Look at what you've abandoned. Encounters with opposites are rarely smooth. They spark friction, resistance, even rejection, because the other person embodies something you've yet to accept within yourself. But what is disowned must eventually be integrated. Attraction is born in contrast. And it's within that contrast that growth begins. A relationship with an opposite is an invitation to evolve. You're face to face with someone who shakes your patterns, questions your beliefs, and stirs your emotional logic. First, it can feel like you're from different worlds. But over time, you realize that difference is a mirror, showing you something new, pulling you out of your comfort zone, expanding the space where your wholeness can emerge. These meetings aren't detours. They're encounters of the soul. And the soul doesn't seek comfort. It seeks completeness. Jung believed the path of individuation requires this movement. Integrating what's missing, embracing what's been denied, expanding consciousness by including the other as part of your own inner process. So when you're drawn to someone strikingly different from yourself, ask, what is this person revealing to me? What part of myself is waiting to be awakened? What have I admired in others but never dared to grow within me? The opposite doesn't appear to work against you. Comes to remind you of who you can still become. And often, love begins the moment the soul recognizes something the ego cannot yet name. But not every intense connection is what it seems. Sometimes what looks like a soul encounter is simply the reflection of something unresolved within you. Recognizing the difference is one of the most delicate tasks on the path to self-awareness. There's no rush, no anxiety, just a quiet clarity. You don't feel the need to prove anything or hold on tightly. The connection flows effortlessly without idealization. A good way to discern what you're truly feeling is to ask the right question. What exactly am I seeing in this person? If the answer is full of fantasies, rescue, or the promise of fulfillment, it's most likely projection. But if it feels grounded, present, and open, it might be intuition. The only real filter is awareness, and it switches on only when you're brave enough to explore your own emptiness. The person who draws you in is revealing a part of you. The real question is whether that part is being acknowledged or simply used to fill a void. Many connections begin as projections and only later reveal their true nature. When the curtain falls, frustration, pain, or anger may surface, but so does clarity. Projection itself isn't the problem. It's human. The danger lies in losing yourself in the fantasy and not realizing when it's no longer real. Not every meeting is meant to last, but every encounter can teach you something. Some arrive to show you where you're still waiting to be saved. Others remind you that you were already whole. It's up to you, through your awareness and presence, to see where the power of connection truly comes from. Not everything that shines is a soulmate. Sometimes it's only the echo of an old longing, asking to finally be heard and released. Some people will awaken uncomfortable feelings, anger, jealousy, irritation, or an instant sense of dissonance. And while your first impulse may be to walk away, judge, or deny it, there's something here worth exploring. These intense reactions don't appear out of nowhere. They are signals that something has touched your shadow. According to Carl Jung, the shadow isn't evil. It's everything you refuse to admit belongs to you. Traits, desires, impulses, and emotions that were pushed out of your conscious identity, but still live beneath the surface. And one of the clearest mirrors for the shadow is found in relationships. We reject in others what we haven't accepted in ourselves. The arrogant person irritates you because they reflect your own repressed vanity. The unstable person unsettles you because they awaken your hidden fragility. The selfish person frustrates you because they mirror your unspoken desire to set boundaries you've never dared to claim. What moves you says far more about you than about them. This doesn't mean that every behavior is excusable, or that you should tolerate everything. But before reacting on autopilot, it's worth asking yourself, why did this hit me so deeply? What exactly am I feeling? The real answer is often not on the surface. The shadow we attract can appear as criticism, rivalry, or envy. And the impulse to pull away is often nothing more than our discomfort with being confronted by our own reflection. It's easier to point the finger outward than to accept what lies within. Carl Jung once said, "What we deny in ourselves appears in others as fate." It may sound harsh, but in truth it's liberating, because it shows us where the path forward begins. You don't have to keep repeating the same judgments, the same tension, the same conflicts. You can learn to look at what another person is activating within you and transform that tension into self-awareness. The most uncomfortable relationships can be the most revealing, not because they're bad, but because they expose the parts of you that have been buried. Only what rises to the surface can be seen, healed, and reintegrated. You don't have to like everyone, but it helps to understand why certain people affect you so deeply. Not every conflict is truly about the other person. Sometimes it's about the part of you that still longs to be seen, even if it hides behind quick judgment or sharp criticism. We like to believe we're choosing consciously, that we've learned from the past, that we're different now. And yet, without realizing it, we find ourselves back in the same place, drawn to the same kind of people, facing the same frustration, feeling the same emptiness. That isn't bad luck. It's a pattern. And behind most patterns is the unconscious mind, quietly replaying what hasn't been resolved. It seeks out, with uncanny precision, situations that echo the wounds that marked us most deeply, often from childhood, from our earliest attachments, from our first emotional injuries. And so, the cycle repeats, not out of cruelty, but because something is still asking to be seen, processed, transformed. You can rationalize it, explain it away, promise yourself that this time it will be different. But if the core wound remains alive, it will keep shaping your choices, distorting your perception. It will make you believe you're falling in love, when in truth, you're seeking to heal old abandonment, unresolved rejection, or a need for validation that was never met. And so the loop continues. You connect with emotionally unavailable people. You stay in relationships that hurt. You feel invisible even when you're not alone. Not because you want to suffer, but because, on some level, you're trying to symbolically finish what was left undone. Repetition is the unconscious mind's way of saying, maybe this time we'll finally heal. But healing doesn't happen by forcing the same story to play out again. By turning inward and acknowledging the part of you that needs care, you begin to shift everything. None of this is your fault, it's a structure of the psyche. And once you understand it, you can change it. The key is to observe the pattern with radical honesty. Why do I keep falling for people who aren't fully present? Why do I settle for less than I deserve? Why do I confuse intensity with love? Awareness breaks the cycle, not magically but tangibly. It creates space for new choices. Choices that align with who you've become, not with what you've been through. You are not trapped in your patterns. But to truly move beyond them, you must first see how long they've been choosing for you. Only then can a new story begin to unfold. One built on relationships that don't echo the past but honor the person you are now. There's a book that ties beautifully into everything we've talked about, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. If you want to clearly understand why you attract certain people, behaviors, and experiences, this book is essential reading. Murphy explains something that can completely shift the way we view life. The idea that it's the subconscious mind that truly directs our behavior, our choices, even the people we meet. It doesn't matter what you consciously say you want. If deep inside you hold beliefs about rejection, abandonment, lack, or unworthiness, that's the frequency that resonates. That's what you'll keep drawing in. He compares the subconscious to fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it, through repeated thoughts, intense emotions, or deeply held beliefs, grows into your lived reality. And this is where it connects with the law of resonance, because the inner seed vibrates, and that vibration attracts external experiences that match its frequency. Relationships, encounters, patterns, none of it is random. It all flows from the vibration you carry within, even when you're not fully aware of it. The most powerful part of Murphy's teaching is about reprogramming the subconscious. When you change what you believe, when you begin to feed your subconscious with more conscious images and emotions, your vibrational field shifts. And when that changes, what you attract changes too. You begin to call in relationships that remind you you're already whole. These aren't connections built on lack, but on presence. They don't feed fantasies or fill voids, they simply share space. And that simplicity is what makes them profoundly healing. Healing relationships aren't the most intense or dramatic. They're the ones where you feel safe, where you can be fully yourself without performing, where silence is respected, your broken parts are accepted, and your soul is met, not fixed. In these relationships, the other person isn't trying to fix you. They walk beside you while you gather the pieces of yourself. These connections awaken what Jung called the healer archetype, an inner pattern that comes alive in the presence of someone who listens without judgment, someone who welcomes you without trying to change you, someone who sees your pain without fear. Being in that presence feels like landing in a space where you can finally breathe. Even these relationships can be challenging, because true healing doesn't come from comfort. It comes from being fully present. Sometimes the other person reflects back how far you've drifted from yourself. They touch the parts you try to hide, not to hurt you but to reveal them. And when that revelation is met with love, it begins to reorganize what was broken. It's common to expect others to fill the gaps within us, but in healing relationships, no replacement is promised. There is reflection, there is support, there is truth, subtle yet far stronger for it. These relationships restore the autonomy that need-based connections often take away. Healing love doesn't promise to save you. It reminds you of your own ability to stand again. It empowers you to move forward with greater awareness, not to carry you. It holds your hand without stopping you from walking your own path. These relationships don't always last a lifetime. Some pass like the seasons, bringing warmth. They awaken something new within you and then leave, but the imprint they leave behind endures. Because in practice, they show that it's possible to connect deeply without losing your individuality. They don't come to fill a void. They come to remind you of all that you already have, perhaps what you had forgotten. From that reminder, healing begins, quietly, without dependency, simply through presence. Every connection awakens something within you. It might be a hidden strength, a forgotten wound, a role you didn't even know you could play. This happens because the other person isn't just human. They are also an activator of archetypes. In Jungian terms, archetypes are universal structures that live in the collective unconscious. They are patterns of behavior, symbolic images, deep emotional currents, the structures we all carry within ourselves. When someone enters your life, they can awaken the hero, the protector, the rebel, the wounded child, or the wise guide within you. At first, this awakening is rarely conscious, you just feel it. You might sense the need to protect, to be rescued, or to step into a role you've never had the space for before. Sometimes, you fall in love not only with the person but with the part of yourself they bring to the surface. This is why some relationships feel so intense. They connect you to hidden corners of your soul. These inner archetypes aren't fixed. They shift and evolve with the rhythm of the relationship. One day, this person may fill you with strength, and the next challenge you to your core. That doesn't mean the bond was false. It simply touched different layers of your being. The person is the spark, but the fire is yours. It's easy to mistake this for love, but often, it's an encounter with your own inner images. You're not just connecting with the other person. You're connecting with what they awaken, what they symbolize, and what they evoke emotionally. That's why some encounters leave such a lasting mark. Not because the story lasted long, but because they stirred a part of your soul you hadn't recognized. Once awakened, that part never sleeps again. Changes how you see, how you connect, and how you exist. The people you meet are never random. They are living mirrors of your own hidden parts. Each one offers a chance to become more whole, more conscious, more true to yourself. Not all love is meant to stay. Some come to break you open, and even then they are sacred. Some meetings aren't meant to last. They are meant to transform. They arrive like fire, burning away what no longer serves you. Then they leave, leaving silence, emptiness, longing, but also space. These intense connections that shake your foundation are often reflections of you. Through the necessary fracture, your ego seeks stability, but your soul seeks truth and movement. And when life feels stuck, love can arrive like an earthquake, shaking, waking, and opening the way forward. Some encounters in life feel like emotional alchemy, reshaping everything inside you. You may think you've lost someone, but in truth, it's an older version of yourself slipping away. The part that no longer fit, yet you hadn't been ready to release. Certain people appear to unsettle us, not out of intention, but because their presence carries a purpose, to shake us free. Heartbreak doesn't mean love failed. Often it's the opposite. These relationships expose what was hidden, bring raw emotions to the surface, and dissolve illusions, allowing space for something new to emerge. Not every story ends with a conventional happy ending, but that doesn't mean it wasn't meaningful. The real reward can lie in the clarity, the strength, and the deeper awareness that remains. Some endings are actually disguised beginnings. Jung called these ruptures a vital part of the path to individuation. When love falls apart, it reveals what's out of balance and creates space for a more authentic, conscious connection to yourself and others. Some people come into your life to push you beyond your comfort zone, to shake you awake, to challenge patterns that no longer serve you. Painful as it may be, it is still a form of love. Not every connection is meant to last. Some people stay only briefly, yet their impact is profound. They awaken parts of you that were dormant, reveal hidden truths, and leave lessons behind that only become clear with time. These moments are precise. They serve a cycle, a purpose, a transformation. The soul understands when a presence has fulfilled its role. The ego resists, clinging to what feels familiar. But the soul lets go. And in that letting go, something truer, stronger, and more real has the space to grow. Endings aren't failures, they're transformations. Letting go of a chapter doesn't erase its meaning. It honors the journey you walked. In that space, forgiveness quietly emerges, not as an excuse but as freedom. Forgiving releases the invisible threads that keep you tied to what's already behind you. It doesn't rewrite the past, but it stops letting it weigh on your present. True forgiveness isn't about excusing mistakes or ignoring pain. It's about reclaiming your peace, choosing not to let what others did or didn't do steer your heart. Gratitude is born here too. Not a romanticizing of what was, but a recognition that even through the hurt, something awakened in you. Something grew. Something matured. Life flows in cycles, and every relationship is a teacher. Some show you love in its beauty. Some reveal what love isn't. Some heal. Some challenge. And some break you open, only to leave a lasting mark. Every encounter shapes you, even the ones that hurt, because they illuminate parts of yourself you couldn't see before. When you learn to meet these moments with gratitude, even the painful ones, anger softens, attachment loosens, and space opens for what's next. Not everything has to last to have meaning. Sometimes all it takes is acknowledgement, a quiet thank you, and the courage to keep moving forward. The people who enter your life, some kind, some stormy, come in alignment with what's already stirring inside you. They ignite, they challenge, they awaken parts of your soul that were asleep. Some lift you up, some break you down, and in both cases they leave something permanent: insight, growth, transformation. Life isn't random. The subconscious is subtle, moving where logic can't follow. Clarity comes after the dust settles, when the chaos becomes a story, and the heartbreak becomes a mirror. Every connection carries a purpose: to awaken, to teach, to heal, sometimes to break everything open so that something more authentic can emerge. And when you recognize this, you feel it, you know that a part of you has matured, that a deeper understanding has taken root. When you start seeing people not as sources of joy or punishment, but as reflections of your own inner world, everything shifts. Life's drama begins to dissolve, and clarity takes its place. This journey isn't about trying to control who enters or leaves your life. It's about noticing what each person awakens in you. It's about integrating what stirs within, letting go of what no longer serves, and embracing what's still forming. Pain is not the enemy here. It doesn't need to be transformed into meaning. It simply signals something that needs your attention. Through others, you catch glimpses of yourself. In the tension of beginnings, in the uncertainty of endings, in the intensity of projections, and in the quiet presence of someone truly there. Not every connection lasts forever, but every encounter can teach you something profound. Even the ones that feel like a loss are often the bridge to a fuller version of yourself. Your soul senses truths your mind hasn't yet named. What may seem like coincidence is actually a meeting with a part of you that's been waiting to be acknowledged, felt, and embraced. No one crosses your path by accident. Each person acts as a bridge from who you were to who you're still becoming. Every story leaves a mark, not a scar but a map pointing to growth. Looking back, you might finally feel that quiet relief. It was worth it. Not because it turned out perfectly, but because it revealed something authentic. Every encounter was exactly what it needed to be. A door opening to your own depth. If this message resonates, subscribe and join us. Here we explore connections, the soul, the subconscious, and the journey of healing with depth without shortcuts. Turn on notifications to continue walking this path with us. And if you made it to the end, leave a comment because nothing here is ever random, and I want to know that this touched you, awakened something, and moved you. See you in the next video. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more gentle reminders of your inner power.